The Smoking Glass Hour believes in giving back and giving credit where credit is due. Our number one goal is to make a difference. The music you hear on the Smoking Glass Hour comes from Purple Planet Music. They can be found at www.purple-planet.com. Go check them out. It's time to take back control of our society. Today's world requires an open and honest discussion about the current events. On the Smoking Glass Hour with Bear and Glass, our goal is to engage people from different walks of life into a healthy discussion, creating a positive outcome. When it comes to global events, tune in to the Smoking Glass Hour with Bear and Glass on Monday nights at 7:30. We don't just listen to the news, we bring you the news. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Smoking Glass Hour with Bear and Glass. We are honored to have you as a guest tonight and want to thank each of you for your faithful support. Without further delay, allow me to introduce to you Mr. Bear and Glass. Mr. Glass, take it away.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Smoking Glass Hour with Bear and Glass on tonight, February the 29th. A leap year is what we call it. Welcome to the Smoking Glass Hour. Tonight's topic, we're going to talk about why Hillary, why Bernie, but no to the GOP. Now, if you were to pay attention to Fox News, MSNBC, CNN, and all of these social media outlets, you will see that there is a great divide among the people. Not just Republican and Democrat, not just young and old, not just rich and poor, but black and white. So I am reminded in this last day of Black History Month, for all of the struggles that people have been involved in and have been able to accomplish and move forward, I always ask myself, have we really made the progress that we should have made? My answer to my own question has always been no. And I'll tell you the reason why. If you start out at 0 and you go from 0 to 1, 0 to 2, 0 to 3, 4, 5, or whatever the case may be, but you should have gone from 0 to 20, and you've had ample amount of time to get from point A to point B, is that progress? In my opinion, it's moving the ball forward, but we have not scored a touchdown. So my point is this: there's still work that we must be involved in. There's still work that we must get other people involved. So the number one goal of the Smoking Glass Hour for the past 3 years has always been to inform, engage, encourage, and inspire other people to get involved. Because see, when you sit on the sidelines and you play the role of a cheerleader, you accomplish nothing. The voice that you're using to cheerlead is the voice that you could be leading to quarterback the team down to score a touchdown. Now, cheerleading is good if that's the only strength and the only ability that you have. But if you look at Facebook, if you look at Twitter and all these other social media outlets, every time you turn around, somebody's out there being what you call the Incredible Hulk keystroker, but they do nothing within their communities. Your community can be the home. Your community can be the school. Your community can be the church, individual, family that you worship with on a daily basis. The question is, are you discussing these important issues that we are now faced in 2016? You see, to some of us, there's not a real viable candidate that's running. But to others, there is a candidate that's running who is trying to become a part of a revolution, a movement. And it's not just about him. It's about all of the people involved, because prior to now, everything has been about the establishment, Wall Street, and all those big time money makers that actually have taken this country in a spiraling down direction. So, once again, on tonight, we will be discussing why Hillary, why Bernie, but not the GOP, or why Bernie, but no to the GOP, Grand Old Party. If you paid attention to the news this past weekend from Friday till today, Mr. Billionaire Donald Trump was faced with a question. But before I talk about the Donald, let me just tell you that you can hear us live on YouTube. You can hear us on TuneIn. You can hear us on iTunes. You can also hear us on Spreaker.com and Blog Talk Radio. You can also catch our message each and every day on Facebook, Twitter, at Baron Glass Hour, at The Smoking Glass, or Mr. VIP 318. Now, my message is not about me. My message is about engaging other people in the political process. So when we look at why Hillary Clinton, I know that there are people out there listening right now. So tonight, if you for Hillary, that's fine. We welcome you to join in. If you are for Bernie, we welcome you to join in. And needless to say, if you are for one of the Grand Old Party candidates, I'm going to even welcome you in, because we believe in a healthy and conscious discussion. Because our number one goal is to make a difference. So let's look at why former Secretary of State, former First Lady, Hillary Clinton. Now, we know that the progressive left is having a great love affair with Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders. After he has, let me back up. After months and months and months of contemplating, he threw his hat into the presidential election and created a nightmare for Hillary Clinton. And she felt that she was entitled to the nomination. But once again, it has been proven that the country is not yet sold on Hillary Clinton. Bernie Sanders, in my opinion, in some, has the old man anger, but he's not very effective. That's what some of Hillary Clinton supporters say, and some of the others. So right now we're talking about why Hillary. We're going to get to Bernie. They also say that he failed to stop the TPP agreement through bad, borderline racist arguments. Now, we know that that's debatable, but for the sake of debating, we're going to go with why people are choosing Hillary Clinton. Some also say that Sanders has yet to show an accomplishment on the same level as former First Lady and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, her tireless fight for better health care for women, dating back to 1993. Now, at this point in time, this is what Hillary people are saying. At this point in time in our lives in 2016, the country needs smart leadership. Now, if you're just joining in, I want to make sure that right now you understand that we're talking about why Hillary, why Bernie, but no to the GOP. And right now we're actually addressing Hillary Clinton. Needs smart leadership. Well, what is smart leadership? They also say that our problems in this country are complex and cannot be solved with simple measures. We need more than talking points about the disappearing middle class and the repression of America's poor. This is what Hillary Clinton supporters are saying in opposition to Bernie Sanders. Now, all important points that need to be remedied are things such as, in the end, we need more details about how we solve the problems and less cantankerous generalization about how the country is going to HELL. Again, this is what Secretary of State, former Hillary Clinton people are saying. She's also saying that we need experienced leadership that knows how to negotiate, how to craft policy, and how to put policies into effect in the smoothest way possible. Now, they say that based on all of the characterization that I've just mentioned, that experienced person is not Bernie Sanders. They say that that person is former First Lady and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. Now, here is why. When the rubber meets the road, here is why people are saying that they would vote for former Secretary of State and former First Lady Hillary Clinton over Bernie Sanders any day of the week. Now, I want you to pay close attention, because tonight, if there are people who want to engage, we're going to let them convince why you should vote one way, because I've already stated, I'm feeling the burn. I felt the burn, and it does not mean that I am a socialist no more than you that's out there who may be supporting Trump is not a racist. So let's be fair and honest. Let's get away from the name calling, because that's what politics has become, name calling and characterization or mischaracterization. Now, here's the deal. Hillary Clinton, this is what they say now, is far more aware of the problems of institutionalized racism in the U.S. than Bernie Sanders. Now, if we don't discuss nothing else tonight, I want to come back to that particular comment or statement that Hillary Clinton is far more aware of the problems of institutionalized racism in the U.S. than Bernie Sanders. They also say that Sanders himself is zeroed in on economic inequality to the point of tunnel vision. Now, here's how these people are trying to convince us progressives that we should not vote for a progressive and vote for a, let's say, an actor or an actress who is trying to be a true progressive. Now, they say that that's a huge part of the problem in America today, but it's not the only part that needs to be solved. It does not matter if a black man is making $12,000 a year or $120,000 a year, he will still be overwhelmingly targeted by police when encountered randomly on the street. Now, these are Hillary Clinton's philosophies. Hillary Clinton, they say, is far more polished and diplomatic when it comes to the necessary political skills of forming alliances. Now, just ask yourself, if she's so grand on that idea, why is the entire Republican caucus, along with many progressives, and now, as recent as today, individuals who are part of the political process, they are now coming out and guess what? Endorsing the burn. They say also that Bernie Sanders cannot even get through an interview without stumbling verbally. Well, if that's the case, no Republican candidate can do it, especially the orange man Donald Trump himself. Now, they said that he responds in a nervous, unpopular, or unpolished manner and resorting to political left-wing cliches. This is Hillary Clinton people now. Bernie Sanders does not have a good political skill, period. Now, I know that some people out there, blood is probably boiling at this point. They also say, check this out now, that he would wilt in a head-to-head with even a buffoon like Ted Cruz, and Hillary Clinton would eat Cruz, even Bush, for lunch in any political debate and have enough time to down her lips afterwards. Now, this is just how much of a mockery all of this stuff has become, because we know that people say one thing and they end up doing another. Now, they also say that Hillary Clinton has rather close ties to a guy named Bill Clinton. And we're going to talk about old Bill back when he was in office, when he created one of the worst atrocities since let's say slavery, Jim Crow, or whatever the case may be, when it comes to men of color being put inside of the institution that we now know as the private prison industry. Okay, they also say that because Bill Clinton has some experiences of being a good president, if the country needed 8 more years of the Clintons, it is now more so than ever. Well, I actually debated, or let's say politically debated, a good friend of mine, my co-host, Pastor Dr. A.F. Riggins, senior pastor, founder of Real Life Church out of Houston, Texas the other day. Well, guess what? Everybody didn't live good under Bill Clinton. So let's make sure we understand. Did Clinton have some positives? Yes, he did. But he was not the saving grace as people try to portray him in. They also say that we need the 90s economy that we had under Bill Clinton. And we cannot get it again unless we elect his wife, Hillary Clinton, to the White House. I find it sad to even point this out, but I want to make sure that everybody understands some of the reasons why these people or those people or some people are saying, why Hillary? If you think Bill Clinton, this is for you, is going to spend time washing dishes while his wife Hillary forms policy, I guess all of those who are supporting Clintons, you are absolutely incorrect, because Bill will not be doing that. They also say that the Clintons are a devastating, effective team, and we need them for 2016. They say finally that Bernie Sanders would not give us any of that. Cyrus Sanders, you don't get my vote. So we've heard some of the reasons as to why. As to why people are saying, why Hillary? Because tonight's topic is why Hillary, why Bernie, but absolutely no to the GOP. So when we look at feeling the burn, when we look at Bernie Sanders himself, a senator, an unheard senator at some point from Vermont, we know that just under half of the Democratic primary voters nationwide say they would enthusiastically support Hillary Clinton if she became the party's nominee. But I think if you check the facts, that particular figure is changing, because I am one of these progressives who cannot validate at this point in time why I would or should support Hillary Clinton should she become the Democratic nominee. 27% would support her with some reservations, and another 11% would only back her because she is the nominee. 14% would not support her in the general election. Now, that figure, I'm almost certain, has changed from point A to point B, because we have seen that Hillary Clinton may not be the right person for this particular time in this particular climate in 2016. Now, if you look at the demographics itself, under half of Democrats would well, let me just put it this way. They wouldn't have any enthusiasm about supporting her. 27% would only do so because of whatever reason. So when we look at what's going on in the Democratic Party, there is a great reservation about Hillary Clinton. So we know that if you look at recent polls, Clinton's negative favorability is 9 out of 10 in national polls, make her unelectable as a candidate in the general election. So if you can name a presidential candidate in American history who voters both didn't trust and didn't like her, I'd love to hear that person's name. So if you look once again, Clinton heads Sanders, okay, by large figures when we look at a head-to-head from state to state on landline phones. But see, you have to realize that we are now in 2016. In most of the voting population with regards to the millennials, guess what? They have cell phones. So do not let the media, mainstream media, distract, distort the message that they are trying to give or divide the people when it comes to Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton. Even in positive polls that we look at, there's enough evidence to show that Clinton is simply unelectable in the general election. So why should we support the Bernie? The truth is that Sanders can defeat and shows in polls that head-to-head his margin is wider than Clinton's in the general election against any one of the GOP candidates that's left standing. And I believe it's 5 if you start out with Trump, and then you go to Cruz, Rubio, if you go to the Surgeon General, former surgeon, I can't even think his name because he's a no-brainer, and then you go to John Kasich. The latter two individual candidates, Ben Carson, they are not even a part of the process. They are just there to make this thing look the way that it is. So Hillary Clinton has always been viewed by some in the Democratic Party as the best general election candidate. But see, I was able to find out somewhere today, I forget where I looked, a new NBC poll basically said that Bernie Sanders outperforms Clinton in general election battleground states, which are very much needed. So when we look at Bernie Sanders himself, we know that this guy is creating people, power to the people. And when you look at almost every poll that's out there, the same people who said they'd vote for Clinton if she was elected today are also the same people who state they don't trust Hillary Clinton. So you have to ask yourself, why is that? Some people also say that Clinton evolved towards Republican viewpoints on war, foreign policy, Wall Street, and other issues that are important to the progressives in the Democratic Party. Some say Hillary Clinton does not go far enough and Bernie Sanders does. So guess what? When we look at this catastrophic war that happened when George Bush II was in office, Bernie Sanders himself had the vision to vote against the Iraq war using, guess what? The same intelligence report as as Hillary Clinton and as George Bush, and he made a conscious decision that turned out to be the right decision, in contrast with Hillary Clinton, who voted for the war, and guess what? She now says it was a mistake. So the question I have now, can we afford to vote her in and then turn around a year or two later and say, guess what, America? We made a mistake. Let's look at the Keystone XL pipeline. Bernie Sanders has always been against the Keystone pipeline. Well, he says that the Keystone pipeline may threaten water acquirers that irrigate much of the U.S. We also know that Sanders will continue President Obama's vetoes of the Keystone XL pipeline. Guess what in contrast? In contrast, Hillary Clinton was once inclined to support the Keystone, but guess what? She's flip-flopped now. She has now evolved along with a number of other issues that she has flip-flopped on. Here's the deal. Can you simply trust a President Clinton to veto the Keystone legislation? Can you trust her, since she's flip-flopped on it, that should she become the president, can you trust her? We know that Sanders has always been against the TPP. Well, Clinton supported it 45 times, but now says she's against it. Here we are, flip-flopping once again. She has done this on numerous occasions, and it appears that she does it only when she feels it's convenient for her. It's up to you, the voters, to decide how you feel about her changed stance on the Trans-Pacific Partnership, but we rate Clinton's reversal as a full 100% flip-flop. Now we are just about looking at 7:56 p.m. Central Standard Time. You're listening to the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass on tonight's topic: why Hillary, why Bernie, but no to the GOP. And what we're going to do right now, before we open up the lines, we're going to pause briefly and have a few commercials. Then I'll come back with the final statements about why no to the GOP, and I'll open up the lines. And if there's anybody out there who'd like to have a discussion about what we're talking about, or add to or take away, they may do so at this time. So if you're out there on the line, please hold, mute your lines, and we'll be right back.
Baron Glass, host of the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass on the all-new #1 global radio station, WMAD. Before I do my live broadcasting, I always dine in at the all-new Main Street Seafood Restaurant located in downtown Columbia, Louisiana, owned and operated by Miss Brett. Check them out. I did. We can be most effective when we are engaged in the political process, and there's no time like the present. One of our main goals is effective advocacy through active participation from you. Those who stand for nothing will fall for anything. Our efforts to keep you engaged and informed as to the importance of current events happening locally and abroad started 2 years ago. Our #1 goal is to make a difference. We need you. Join us at the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass.
We are back broadcasting live with the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass on tonight's topic, why Hillary, why Bernie, but no to the GOP. We gave you some information about why Hillary. We gave you some information about why Bernie. Now we're going to try to provide, or attempt to provide, you some information with no to the GOP. Now we know that we have 5 GOP candidates standing. And as I've stated, that 2 of those candidates are not even in the race because they're polling at or below 6 or 5%, so they're not even relevant. They're not even within the margin of error close to the next candidate. So we're going to look at Rubio, we're going to look at Donald Trump, and we're going to look at Ted Cruz, who is the most sleazy Republican that I have seen in my adult life. Even when you look at this guy in his eyes, even if you look at Donald Trump in his eyes, and we already know that Rubio is the most inexperienced candidate that I've ever seen, and he has the nerve to say that Barack Obama is inexperienced, or he had as much experience as Barack. But before we try to even debate that, we already know that Rubio says whatever it is that he needs to say. Ted Cruz has said this, which was striking to me. And this is one of the reasons why I say no to the GOP. Ted Cruz's statement: it is true that the American people are war weary. Absolutely. We are tired of sending our sons and daughters to distant lands year after year after year to give their lives trying to transform foreign nations. Here's the deal. Ted Raphael Cruz signed the letter to Iran letting them know in no way that he wants peace with them or any agreements that may end in our not bombing their country. He is a warmonger who supports putting boots on the ground wherever and whenever possible because war is good for business. That is one of the reasons why we say no to the GOP, but why Hillary? Why Bernie? And more important, why Bernie? If you look at the jokester, the entertainer, the Donald Duck, Daffy Duck, or whatever you want to call him, Donald Trump, this guy is the craziest candidate that has ever been on the scene. And if you look and pay attention, the Republican Party itself cannot handle something they themselves created. Trump, let's go with him. First off, when Trump spoke in third person, it should show you what a narcissistic type person he is. And secondly, his idiotic and extremely sexist comments about women should make anyone realize that his realistic run at the highest office of the land is nothing more than a bad dream and a bad joke and bad for this country that we call the United States of America. So when we look at the final person, which is Marco Rubio, which in my opinion is the most inexperienced candidate. As a matter of fact, I give Dan Quayle more credibility than I do Marco. So when you look at Marco Rubio, when we say no to the GOP, the obvious reasons are, of course, policy related regarding Rubio. Republicans are opposed to anything sensible that would help the working poor, the middle class, those in need of help, the environment, or anything else that does not increase the bottom lines of their campaign donors. So even when you add former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton to this, anything sensible that would help the working poor, anything that would help the middle class, anyone that is considered those in need of help, anything that's involving the environment or anything else that does not increase the bottom line of their campaign donors. And we know that Hillary Clinton has some of the richest donors that are out there. We know that she is married to Wall Street. We know that she is in bed with Goldman Sachs, who happen to be Jews and have a large amount of money. So when you look at all of these candidates, to me now, there's only one that stands out above the rest. I believe, based on what I've seen, that Bernie is for the working poor. That Bernie is trying to create that base and foundation for the middle class of America again. He is for those who are in need of help. He is talking about the environment by trying to go against the TPP and all of the Keystone pipelines and anything that's going to corrupt and or interrupt the environment. He is for those things that would increase the working lives of people within this particular country. So we say, why Hillary? Why Bernie? But we obviously say no to the GOP. So right now what I'm going to do, about 8:05 p.m. Central Standard Time, you're listening to the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass, and we're going to open up the lines. I'm going to give the administrator enough time to open up the lines, because here's how this works. I am in one part of the state. She is in another part of the state. So we're going to open up the lines. I believe I heard a voice out there. Good afternoon, caller. Caller, are you out there? Hello, caller. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Which caller would like to go first? Let's yield male to the female. Female caller, go ahead.
This would be me, Baron.
Okay, go ahead.
Am I up? I'd like to address Baron very quickly, and I'd like to be really succinct, and I did a lot of homework before I decided to call in. I'd like to why Bernie and why not Hillary? And I want to take Hillary first. In the 60s, Hillary was a Goldwater girl. Goldwater was a rabid racist. She took incredible pride in being a Goldwater girl. At the same time, Bernie Sanders was marching with civil rights, protesting the segregation of Chicago schools. Both of them being young and teenagers at a time, very formative. Bernie, I looked at his record, and I really looked at it with a critical eye. And his record through the years. In 1962, he was civil rights marching. In 1985, he goes on record protesting Reagan's government involvement in Central America and publicly condemns it as a war against the people. That was after a trip to Nicaragua, and he saw the devastation in the country. He opposed and condemned welfare reform. He opposed 2 Iraq wars on moral grounds. This is all a matter of public record, Barron. Let me just go a little bit further. He opposed and was condemned the denying of federal grants to prisoners, which was one of the most effective ways to reduce recidivism rate. Guys could get educated in prison. He condemned that. He voted against the death penalty. And then he voted, the one thing I really question, he voted on the crime bill. And his reasoning for that was that it held an amendment it held a provision to forbid massive, I think it was massive assault weapons. But here's what he said on and I'd like to read this. Here's what he said on the Senate floor in 1991, though he supported it. And these are his words, and it's his public record. He said, we have the highest percentage of people in jail per capita of any nation on earth. We do not have to, what do we have to do? Put the whole country behind bars? Instead of talking about punishment and revenge, let us talk about the real issue. How do we get to the root of the causes of crime? How do we stop crime? I've got a problem, Mr. President. I've got a problem with a president in Congress that allows 5 million people to go hungry, 2 million people to sleep on the street, cities to become breeding grounds for drugs and violence, and they say we're getting tough on crime. If you want to get tough on crime, let's deal with the causes of crime. Let's demand that every man and woman and child in this country has a decent standard of living. Let's not keep putting poor people in jail and disproportionately punishing the black population. That was his speech on the Senate floor. As I look through his record, Brian, I see a concern, a moral concern for people the whole way through it. And I think that's what Bernie brings to the table. Hillary, when I look at Hillary's record through, Hillary, a Goldwater girl. In the 80s, she surfaces. She's married to Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton passes, as you say, the most, I think since slavery, one of the most destructive bills that could have been to a community in the history of America. Also, when you look at why that bill was passed and how it was passed, Bill Clinton had been the governor of Arkansas. He was a liberal. In his tenure, he issued 100 pardons. He now is gaining momentum in the Democratic Party, and they come up with this idea that he has to show that he's tough on crime. In the next 10 years, Barry pardoned 10 people and flew to Arizona and flew back to his home state when that young, mentally handicapped man was being, I don't know if I can't recall the name, was being capitally punished for murder. He was a young man who he bragged about it. Afterwards, he said, "Let them say I'm not tough on crime." Hillary is now confronted in 2016 with her partner. I know we know that the word super predator. I know we know the word healed. But if you look at her speech, she's talking about children that have not even been arrested yet. She's predicting they have no conscience. They have no morality. And it's targeted against the black community.
Mm-hmm.
We now go ahead. And in 2000, last year, she somehow begins to be confronted. Okay? And this flip-flop that you're talking about is real. She now, and as you say, Bill isn't going to sit washing dishes. Bill, who's had all this time to think about and see what the repercussions of the crime bill are, says he's sorry if she's running.
Mm-hmm.
He does not address it one bit until that young girl, I think it was from Black Lives Matter, interrupted her fundraiser.
Mm-hmm.
Last Friday, it came out that she was on the board of Walmart for 6 years.
Right.
Silent member. Last Friday, it was reported that the 12th richest woman in the world, the Walmart heiress, one of the most hated companies in America for their labor practices with their employees, donated $353,000 to her last December. It's only being released now.
Mm-hmm.
That same industry, immediately after that crime bill, there's a privatized prison complex that sprung up, people making billions of dollars. Those people supported and gave Hillary Clinton money as close as last year. When she's confronted with it, while it's silent, it's happening. When she's confronted with it, now she's going to give it back or donate it to charity.
Right.
The woman is a liar.
Mm-hmm.
Woman, duplicitous. I think Hillary Clinton. If Hillary Clinton is elected, this country will step back into the Middle Ages.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll check.
No social justice. One more last thing, Baron, and then I'll stop. Okay. The way America handles social problems today, our first response is violence. We criminalize the poor. We criminalize those who don't have. We criminalize the homeless. My God, you're getting arrested for being homeless.
Mm-hmm.
And Hillary Clinton will continue. The marginalized and the poor will suffer an enormity under Hillary Clinton because it will be same old, same old.
Okay, I'm going to come back to one of your comments. Let me make sure I can get somebody else. We had another caller that was out there. Caller, go ahead.
Hi, Baron. This is David Lamar.
How you doing, Screens from the Center? Welcome to the Smoking Glass Hour. Go ahead.
Hey, I just wanted to call in and I'm listening out here, and I want us to be careful when we talk about Hillary Clinton versus Bernie Sanders, because in the end, if Hillary Clinton is our nominee, it's important to know that she has flaws, and we need to push her in the right direction, and I think we can push her in that right direction. Now, you know me, I'm a Bernie supporter.
Uh-huh.
I want to see Bernie. That's who I want. But I will gladly cast my vote for Hillary Clinton over any of the three leading candidates on the GOP side.
Right.
You're not going to see me vote for Trump, Cruz, Rubio, none of those guys.
Right. And I'll tell you, David, you are exactly right. But I think for those who are like me, and you know, you and I have talked about this when we host and co-host together, that because of my strong conviction, it's kind of like a preacher. If I'm a preacher and I am telling people to go out and support something that I know is wrong, I'm just as guilty as anybody else. And I feel that way about Hillary because the lady, she's for herself. She says one thing and does another. And I think, when the smoke cleaner does sell her, and I could be wrong, David, unless for the sake of the office itself, I believe that before it's over, there will be a lot of true progressives that will either not vote for Hillary or they will vote for someone else from one of those other parties, or they just will flat out not vote. Now, I'm hoping that that does not happen, but I believe Clinton herself, the problem that she is now dealing with, she created this problem herself. And rather than her cleaning up this problem, she's doing the same thing which created the initial problem, which is flip-flopping. She's lying, and she's doing those other things. And I understand what you're saying, but here's why different. I believe that you call a spade regardless as to who it is and where they are at. And in this case, I believe the spade, I think it's Hillary. And I'm hoping that those who pray a lot, that they will pray enough to convict me to actually vote for her. But right now, I don't see me supporting her. Now, when she gets to the general election, or should she get to the general election, I'll tell you what I won't do. Because it's boiling down to one candidate or the other, any disagreement or disassociation that I have with her, I will not publicly denounce her, because I think at that point the individual parties itself have spoken, and let the chips fall where they may in the general election. I'll give you a chance to respond to that, Dave.
Yeah, that's basically my take on it is, we can have our heated discussions and debates. We can point out the flaws of a character. Mm-hmm. Believe you me, I understand. Hillary Clinton is a flawed candidate. I thought she was the wrong candidate in 2008. I never thought she was a viable candidate, in my opinion. But when you've got the force of the GNC pushing that scale towards Hillary, they're going to try their very best to shove her down our throat. Uh-huh. We have to respond by forcing Debbie Wasserman Schultz and Hillary Clinton to do the agenda that Bernie Sanders has created the movement. Mm-hmm. And also, Bernie Sanders supporters need to get out and vote. If you pick the candidate, if you want to be part of the movement, then get out and vote. I think that this idea that I'm seeing about Super Tuesday tomorrow, I just...
Hey, David, I'm gonna give you a chance. I'm gonna give you a chance. Your phone, it appears that you have a bad connection, but I really want you to be able to express your opinion and concern, because I think we both agree we're saying the same thing. I know I'm being a little cantankerous with it, simply because I just do not like Clinton, but I understand fully what you're saying. So let me give you an opportunity to move around and get a better signal. Then I'll bring you back. Do we have another call out there, Miss Barrick? I'm gonna come back to you. Do we have another call out there? Do we have another caller that wish? Go ahead.
This is Vanessa.
Go ahead, Vanessa. How you doing?
Good. I think I commented on when you had put the post up about why Hillary or why Bernie and not the GOP. But I like Sanders because I used to read all of his. He had a Facebook page, and he would always post things, and I always liked what he was saying. I never followed him, because I didn't think he was going to be president. But then when I found out that he was going to run for president, it kind of made me feel good. I'm like, oh, wow, Bernie Sanders running for president? I didn't realize how old he was either. But they said he's in very good health physically. But as far as Clinton, now I'm from Arkansas. I was born in Pine Bluff. And my people are Clinton people, my family. As a matter of fact, I posted up a picture of my aunt. She just took a picture with Hillary when she was in Arkansas the other day. And as far as the things that what Nikki was saying about the prison complex thing, and Clinton had signed that bill, the crime bill, he came back and apologized for that. And I'm thinking, okay, why are you apologizing for that now? Uh-huh. Are you apologizing because your wife is running for president? You never apologized before. Mm-hmm. Because he was saying that, they knew that it was their fault when they did that crime bill. And I'm like, okay, but that's not really, to me, it's not even a confession. Because I said if Hillary wasn't running, I don't believe you would have apologized for it.
Okay, so Vanessa, right? So Vanessa, are you saying that it's kind of like a kid who got caught and apologized, but they only apologize because they got caught, not because they're contrite? Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. Mm-hmm. That's what most crooks do. Mm-hmm. I'm not calling him a crook anything. And even when he did the NAFTA, that was another. To me, that was another bad thing that he did when he signed that NAFTA bill or whatever they call it. And then you're going into the TPP thing. So I'm thinking that, is she going to run the country like her husband did? Or is she going to take advice from him because he was a president at one point? I mean, she's never been president. She's been around the president, but she hasn't really been, per se, a president. And so I don't know if she's going to lean towards, him, if he's going to tell her things, when you need to do this, or like you said, if he in the kitchen washing dishes and they talking and, something comes in, is she going to, well, okay, I'm going to do this thing. It's a little confusing, but I did like Hillary a long time ago, but then when I started seeing all this other stuff comes to the surface sooner or later. Because what you do in the dark is most definitely is going to come into the light.
Right.
Sometimes it comes sooner than what you expected it to come.
Right.
But as far as Bernie, when you keep saying he doesn't have experience, I just wish that, I think timing means everything, and all the things Bernie is doing now, I don't believe he could have did it years ago to run for president. Because nobody would have been listening to anybody that was trying to talk about race. I'm trying to say something about systemic racism and institutionalized racism. They never would have listened to him.
Right. Vanessa and Nikki, let me go back to the point that Dave made, and I want to get everybody's response to this. Dave's contention is that we elect Hillary, and then the masses attempt to force her to do the things that we progressives want done based on what Bernie is saying. Now, here's my problem, or my concern with that, rather. How do we know that we can force a Clinton to do something that we want them to do, when in the past these Clintons have done everything that they wanted to do and screw everybody else, but then they come back, and let's look at the most recent thing. Black people, in my opinion, in South Carolina, they had short-term amnesia, because when you look back in 2007, when she was running against then running individual for the presidency, Barack, look at how she did what she did. People coming back now and forgiving this. Who's to say that she won't flip-flop again, since she has a track record? Even now, her not just in her past, but her present is still a flip-flopper. I don't know if Dave, are you out there yet?
Can you hear me okay now?
Yeah, you're still kind of going in and out. I'll tell you what, Dave, let me let Vanessa and Nikki answer that. Then I'm going to come back to you and let you validate your point. Vanessa and Nikki, what do you think about that? Do you think we're going to be able to force her, so to speak, to do the things that we feel the progressives won't done?
Can I answer, Baron?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think if Hillary's elected and she in fact becomes president of the United States, I think her list of creditors, very long. He is big business. And one of the tremendous grievances in the country is this 1% and how we're run. I mean, six companies own the media. I mean, this is how we're run. And I think Hillary's history and Bill's, since he no longer, since he was no longer the president, the foundation, the speaking engagements, the monies from Goldman Sachs, Walmart last week, the prison. How can she? I mean, is she immune, or do we have some kind of fairy tale idea that she will get into office and she won't owe these people? We all know elections are wrong. I don't go so far as saying, but he who has the most money wins. And in that sense, our elections are rigged. Bernie probably doesn't have enough money to launch the campaign that Hillary can. And so for me, with this flip-flopping, I mean, personally, I feel like you do, Baron. I couldn't, at this point, I couldn't vote for Hillary. I couldn't. I believe she's very disingenuous. No good woman. I mean, I just really want to say that. But I think her list of creditors, her list of priorities on who needs to be paid back for what, if she gets into office, okay, I think the poor, the working poor, the black, decriminalized, will be low on her priority list. And when I think unless we as a nation could really, honestly, I mean, there's all these fractured movements all over, and if somehow we could come together as a people, a one voice people, but how Brian, we can be decent to each other on the roads,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Right.
So no, I mean, my answer to that is no. I don't think we can force it.
Mm-hmm. And here's another reason, Vanessa, I'm gonna bring you in on this. Let me add this other. Okay, if we are already outnumbered by the billionaires and the 1%, what makes us think now that should she get in, that our little voices is going to supersede or surpass the billionaires? I'll let you come in now, Vanessa.
Well, I don't think she would change anything as far as, well, like Nikki was saying, yeah, she got bills to pay. And she got people that, when people give you that kind of money, and if you've been entangled with them for years on top of years, they're not going to just let you do what you want to do. There's a limit. And what I'm thinking is that she's going to give us some crumbs, like we always did, just enough to keep it quiet until the next shoe falls.
Mm-hmm.
So if we do all come together as the so-called little people, but the 1%ers, they are just a small 1%. We're 99%. But that 99%, we have to come together if you want to defeat the 1%. If you really want government to run the way it's supposed to be for the people,
Mm-hmm.
our people, you got to keep what Bernie Sanders was saying about getting these corporations out of the, out of government, where they, you can't buy your politicians like the Koch brothers and all these, the Heritage Foundations and all these other think tanks and all these other people are out there. You have to know who you're fighting. You just can't sit up and say, well, okay, she's president now, but she didn't do what she said she was going to do.
Uh-huh.
We all have to educate ourselves on government.
Right.
We all have to know exactly how this government is supposed to run, what that Constitution really means, and we have to be the ones to get out there and change. That's why I said, I never really believe that the Constitution is for we the people anyway.
Uh-huh.
It's just that we have to be stronger than that. We have to be sitting back and saying, oh, well, here we go again. It's the same stuff. It's the same, you do the same thing you've been getting all along.
Uh-huh.
So you want to change, get out there and make a change.
Okay.
That's the us. That's not to change anything.
Right. Vanessa, give me a moment. Let me bring Mr. Dave Lamont back in from Screens from the Center. Dave, are you out there yet?
I'm out here.
Okay. Yeah, David. Again, we're all saying the same thing based on the expression, and we all want anybody but the GOP. And I think what Ms. Bedrick and Vanessa and I and some of the others, and I believe you're eloquently trying your best to validate why Hillary Clinton, if that's the person, the nominee over anybody else. So I'm going to allow you the opportunity to come back in because you're doing a wonderful job in displaying your beliefs. And nobody, luckily, we all know that we all can talk and have a balanced and honest conversation. That's what we do here, have an intelligent conversation. So, Dave, I'm going to let you come in and validate your point and go a little bit deeper if you choose to.
All right. So basically, I want to remind people of Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. He was elected as president of the United States in 1933 there, and he was from the most corrupt state in the Union at the time. New York was the most corrupt state that we have out there. And he was part of a movement. He built a movement. So history put him in the place, and people moved him to the right direction. Now, again, I emphasize, I am going to be out there caucusing tomorrow for Bernie Sanders.
Uh-huh.
He is my guy. But if Hillary Clinton ends up being the candidate that the Democrats choose to be,
Uh-huh.
I'm going to feel very unfortunate, but in November, I will, with a smile on my face, mark that box for Hillary Clinton, send it in, because I want to send a message to both Hillary Clinton and the GOP that the Sanders movement will survive regardless of who the Democrats pick. And we have to make sure that we have a louder voice than those people funding her campaign.
Right.
And that's the basic thing. We have to go out there and we have to fight for every inch, because she's not going to move unless we move. So I just want to avoid the entire circular firing squad.
Right.
Don't want to damage her any more than we have to. She's got issues, and I agree with that, and I think they're all valid issues, and I hope and pray that people realize that when they cast the vote and they pick the right candidate in Bernie Sanders. But I will give Hillary Clinton my full support. My channel and my show will go out there and we will campaign for Hillary Clinton if, unfortunately, she is the nominee. Because we cannot afford to have President Trump.
Right. And Dave, I think what Miss Bedrick and Vanessa, and I'll speak for myself, what I'm speaking and asking is that if somebody can convincingly get me to see why I should change, now, she's not just flawed or a flawed candidate. I think she's a corrupt candidate. And because of that corruption, I just can't see me supporting a corrupt candidate just because they are part of the Democratic Party. And the way I look at it is I'm being a hypocrite because I chastise Republicans for supporting somebody like I believe Vanessa called Cupcake Christie, who is just as corrupt and a hypocrite as anybody can be, when one week he stands up and denounces Trump, and then the next week he's on the stage sucking his toes, giving him an endorsement. I know that we have my good co-host from Glassology 101, Pastor, soon-to-be Dr. A.F. Riggins, senior pastor, founder of Real Life Church out of Houston, Texas. I know on Wrap It Up Live, he's talked about why Hillary Clinton. Pastor Riggins, would you care to come in and join the conversation at this point?
Just listening, brother. Just listening.
Good afternoon, AF. How you doing, sir?
Good. How you doing, sir? All right.
Well, you know, Pastor, I always have to bring my good co-host. Of course, you know I got my other good co-hosts out there, Dave Lamont. Of course, I'm joined by Miss Nikki Bedrick from, I believe, Nevada, and Vanessa from the state of Houston, Texas. I believe there are some others that's out there on the line. Pastor Riggins, let's be honest and let's be true. I know that you and I have talked, and you are supporting Hillary Clinton, rightfully so, and that's respected. Tell us, or tell those who are out there listening, why you feel that your support is behind Hillary Clinton, not to denounce Bernie in a sense, but in your own way. I know you can, but tell us why you feel that Hillary is the most viable candidate.
Thank you for having me on tonight. I just called in to kind of listen. I'm concerned about the fact that can Bernie gather enough of, the crowds are big, but when they get inside the ballot box, does he have enough of force behind him to stand up against Trump in the polls? And also, when it's time to, if he has to debate Donald Trump, the way Donald Trump's tactics and his bombastic style, and will Bernie be able to stand up against that? Because most of the time, because voters are very apathetic, very lethargic, complacent. A lot of voters look at images. They deal with the crazy stuff that's going on without really looking at the issues. And I'm afraid that he'll end up looking weak like John Kerry, Michael Dukakis, Jimmy Carter second time around, or someone similar. And we're going to end up letting Donald Trump win on style and craziness rather than substance of Bernie. Whereas Hillary Clinton, the things that you might, some things you call corrupt, and we can debate on it, but I don't really want to debate about the corrupt or not corrupt. But the fact that being in down and dirty politics so long, and that she has enough of our interests, given that the things she stands for, as the young man was saying earlier, he'll go ahead and support her if she wins. If Bernie Sanders wins, I'm going to support him. Mm-hmm. I'm for the Democrat that wins. But I'm trying to push what I believe is the viable one to win in November at this point. If Bernie Sanders is able to beat Hillary Clinton, then guess what? He can beat Donald Trump. It's how I'm saying it. But for right now, when I'm going to pull my lever and no secret ballot, I'm voting for Hillary Clinton, and I'm trying to let folks, I'm not denouncing Trump, but I make observations of things, make observations of what happened in South Carolina, of how the African-American vote was with Clinton, in spite of what happened in 2008. Because of the fact they walked going back to 1996 of how they were riding with Bill Clinton. 2008 was Barack Obama. Now we don't have Barack Obama again. We don't have no one like that. So we're looking at, after 40 years of Bernie being in Congress and Senate, all of a sudden he shows up now and says, I'm going to be your savior. But it's a long time in the Senate sometimes legislating doesn't prepare you for the executive, whereas the Secretary of State and working in the things she's done around the world has given her a better position to take in this race. That's what I'm going for. I'm going for winning in November, and that's why I'm behind Hillary right now. But if Bernie could beat Hillary, of course I'm supporting him, and because that means I believe he can beat Donald Trump because it takes the machine to beat Hillary. Mm-hmm. Obama was there to beat Hillary, and that's how they would take out John McCain. So that's what I'm trying. That's my approach. And then people start talking about the 1994 crimes and all that kind of stuff. That was Bill Clinton and the Republicans that came in the midterm election, which we failed to go out and vote and put in a Republican House. And they tied his hands on the economy. So Bill got what he wanted for the economy to help us by giving us some stuff on the crime bill, but also at the same time, through two other factors. Reagan had already started the war on drugs, and then later Bush doubled down on that with the 3 strikes you're out. But then folks want to point the bill. And furthermore, the things those guys were doing, the stuff that they're doing in Chicago right now. The gangs are going crazy in Compton and everywhere and all that. Killing folks, the Crips and the Blood, folks know what's going on. Drug wars and all that stuff. And some folks were scared. So like in Chicago right now, if I was living in Chicago, I would say that these people out here on the South Side are super predators. Because why? They are killing each other over nothing, a bunch of innocent people. We just don't like sometimes the mouth where it comes from, because we don't think something will be qualified to say that at the time, but the truth is the truth. So, so sometimes we go back to some of that stuff and look at it, but we voted for Bill in 1996. We voted for him in 1996. And so that's why I'm ready to Hillary Clinton right now, because I want to win.
Hey, Riggins.
I mean, Bernie has to prove that he can win. That's all I'm saying.
Hey, Riggins.
No problems against Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, hey, my dissent on what you just said. You make the assertion that it was started by somebody else, and that may be true. But because you start out lying does not mean I have to continue that lie. I can do something totally different. Bill chose not to do it. Bill had an adverse effect on African American males that look like you and I. For that reason alone, I think the credibility of the Clintons, they need to be questioned. And I think it is a good, honest, and healthy discussion. And it's always good for everybody to give their points of views. You know, I respect you highly, and I have nothing against your person. I just think all these points of views need to be given. Now, and the reason why I say that is because when I got elected, there were numerous things that existed that I chose to be totally opposite for. So I chose not to carry out those same policies, and I will continue to not carry out those policies. Now, if somebody else comes behind me and they feel like what I did was not a representative of the people, they have the right to come in, but they should not, by obligation, in my opinion, go with that. But again, you and Dave, I have to give you guys credit because you do it so eloquently that people can understand that there's a conscious discussion that's going on. We're not debating. We're having a good conversation because remember, if you're on Fox News, MSNBC, and all that, they're going to cut you off. So they're not going to even give you the opportunity to say what it is that you want to say. Nikki, are you still out there?
I'm still here, Baron.
Go ahead. I'll let you chime in.
Pastor, good evening. How are you?
How you doing, man? How you doing? Yeah.
Fine, thank you. You know, there's something it was just a different slant on how a Bernie or how a Hillary Trump runoff would run, and I read it with interest the other day, Pastor. And Hillary is, you used the word flawed, and Byron and I both used the word corrupt. And really, since Whitewater, there's an awful lot of skeletons in Hillary's closet. And so the scenario went like this. Trump is probably the dirtiest player ever in politics. He has no couth, he has no respect. He goes for personal insult. He really, I think honestly, as a man, delights in tearing people apart. And so this scenario placed Hillary against Trump with Trump's kind of tactic. And really concluded, and they listed all of the places that Hillary is vulnerable. And kind of conclusion was, and it was really interesting, is that he would tear her apart. He would so discredit her, and it would be incessant. And kind of said by the time she's finished answering one charge, there'll be 5 more leveled at her. So that was one scenario. Then they pitted Bernie against Trump. Bernie's an angry old man. It doesn't really matter what you throw at him. It doesn't affect him personally, and there is no dirt. And so, I got to thinking about that. I really got to thinking about that. What Trump will do to Hillary if she's elected, by the time he will wash the floor with her. And she's vulnerable. She's vulnerable in all of those, she's scandal-ridden. And he will, and as the report, as the commentator on this one said, he will use every single one of those things against her. So I don't know how a Hillary-Trump runoff is going to go. The country, the Trump supporters, the people that he's a hate monger, and the public's been so brainwashed that there's some kind of terrorist threat there. You're more likely to be killed by a terrorist, when we're killing each other 90 people a day.
Pastor Riggins, Dave.
I hear her point of view. Here's where, and I'm not trying to change anyone.
Oh yeah. We know that, Pastor. You don't have to be forgiven. Right. We're just having a good conversation because we want to have a broad perspective of points of views. Yeah.
Here's what I believe is going to happen. Trump has this deal where he's going to go into trial in July for still not the money for Trump University. He said he's going to fight all the way through in principle. So you're going to have a nominee in court, not only a civil court, but maybe in a criminal court with the Attorney General of New York. Mm-hmm. Furthermore, if you paid attention to all the news today, and I've just been watching CNN for the last couple hours, this thing that he did by David Duke of the KKK is going to dog him now. Because it's dogging the Republican Party. Some people are even thinking about if he gets the nomination to try to split him away because he's going to hurt everything down the ballot. Because, they got away. It was okay with the Muslim situation. It's okay with building a wall. It's okay with fighting with women. But see, with the KKK thing is something deep in American conscious of all the people that have been lynched and all the people that have been burned and James Byrd situation and all that kind of stuff. And even Donald Trump himself had ejected David Duke back in 2000 and been part of that party. Then all of a sudden act like he didn't know what he was talking about because he was trying to do a dog whistle, as they say, for the folk that he thought might vote on Tuesday. So the fact that he took that gamble shows he doesn't know how to make the right kind of decisions. He's very volatile. He makes stuff on a spur of the moment and then hope that somebody just take whatever he says and run with it. And so that's going to really hurt him right now, that David Duke situation. And furthermore, in 1927, there's a newspaper. Nobody's not talking about this in the main media. They need to. In 1927, his daddy was arrested for KKK activities in New York, and so that's why all those white supremacist groups, all that stuff, they all stick together. Just like if you're a Mason or if you a fraternal order or something, or if you part of a fraternity. The family is in that thing. They're gonna always support you, and he doesn't want it. And so he didn't want. It's part of who he is. I don't care how he try to dress it up, how he try to change it. It's part of who he is, and so that's gonna. When he start trying to bring somebody else down, if somebody knows how to execute the situation right, Trump is dead on arrival. Mm-hmm. So, like I said, no matter which one of them win, whether it be Hillary or Bernie, they're going to win because Trump is dead on arrival. Mm-hmm. On arrival, but that's where I'm going with.
Okay, Dave and Vanessa, I'm gonna let you comment. How do you feel that this now learning and the walking away of the endorsement by Mr. Duke? How do you feel that that's going to affect Trump down the road? Vanessa, I'll let you come in. Then Dave, you come in behind her.
I'm here too, Baron.
Okay. Go ahead, Vanessa.
Well, today he kind of made a real fool of himself because they ran when he said he didn't know David Duke, or he wasn't really aware of him, and he really didn't know who the clan, the group was that he was associated with, and they ran a tape talking to him back in 2000, and he mentioned Duke, and he mentioned the KKK. So I think his stuff is falling apart. We had a question for the pastor. As far as Hillary being a female and the Republicans tend to be a little anti-woman, what do you think will happen to Hillary say she should become president? Do you think she's going to run into pretty much the same opposition that Obama runs into? That they just don't want to rule by a woman?
I think, Vanessa, it was a little muzzled out because we got a little back noise on somebody's line, and I really hate to mute a line. So if you got any noise out there, kind of shy away from it, or either we're going to have to mute your line. Vanessa, what was your question again? We got about 13 minutes left. What was your question?
No, I was asking the pastor, did he feel that if Hillary won the presidency, that he's going to run into a lot of the same opposition that Obama ran into, because they didn't want to deal with him because he's black, and they're not going to want to deal with her because she's a woman.
Okay, Pastor Riggins.
What you're saying? Yeah, right. You talking about Congress? Yeah, that's right. That's part of the problem that I think is going to show up. The fact that she's a woman, they're going to try to give us some. But see, the only thing that we have that help us out in situations that, even though she was not in America, Madeleine Albright proved how she can do some things, as Secretary of State, so she was Secretary of State. She proves how she could do some things in that area. Condoleezza Rice proved how she could do some things, Secretary of State. So did Hillary Clinton. So now it's just the next level. The glass ceiling is going to be broken. They will give her a fight, but I guarantee you, if she's running against Trump, she's going to have the first 2 years where she has the Congress, the Senate, and the Congress, because down ballot, Trump is going to hurt everyone. Her job is not to squander that power the way Barack Obama did. He did squander those first 2 years. And the reason why he squandered was they had the wrong people in place. Pelosi and Harry Reid were not great leaders. And they squandered the power they had. If she can have the right people in place for the first 2 years, she can then set herself up that when the midterm elections come again, because they're going to come back and try to take it back, then she'll be set that they can't fight her the way they fought Barack Obama. It's right. They're going to try to fight her because she's a woman. Mm-hmm. But the mere fact that they're saying, you can't do it better than us. You shouldn't get paid as much as us. Just like in corporate America, you shouldn't get paid as much as us. You shouldn't have the title that we have. And so that's another reason why I'm behind her. I want true change in America. I don't want to go back to the first 43 yet. I want to see if she goes in and they have a Hispanic vice president candidate, maybe one of the Castro brothers. And so we have Barack Obama, then we have a woman, and then up next up the line is Hispanic. That's the diversity of America.
So Riggins, let me ask you this. So, and correct me if I'm wrong. So is it more about making history, or is it more about moving this country forward? Because if we're talking about change, Hillary is not change, huh?
There's going to be some change.
Okay.
Because she wants to continue some things that Barack Obama is already doing.
Okay.
She's changed just by the mere fact that she's a woman. And Bernie Sanders is going to bring some change, but some of the changes he's trying to bring is going to take a lot more work and a lot more longer time to make the drastic changes he wants to make. And he has to, I would say this, if Bernie Sanders ran 20 years ago, he would be more important. That's what I keep trying to say. After being 40 years in legislation, and then show up with this stuff that he's trying to do, he already knows that what he's trying to do. It takes three parts of government to do it. Just like you do with Obamacare. The Congress passes it, he signs on it, and then the Supreme Court got to come find out if it's lawful or constitutional or not. So it takes three. It's just not the president who can't just do it all by himself. So stuff he's saying he can do, he can't do that on his own. All 3 colleges for everyone. That sounds good, but can he deliver on that?
Well, Pastor, it was said that Barack couldn't offer affordable health care for all. It happened, right?
But look at it though.
Right.
But it didn't happen the way. Let me explain this. It really affordable health care. I support it for those who don't have the insurance. But for those that do have insurance, we hurt with some of this. So why? all our prescriptions went up. Know why they went up? Because they left the insurance companies and the pharmaceutical companies.
But Pastor, you're right. Pastor, you're right. But right. But here's the same assessment when we look at the Civil Rights Act of 1964. It was not perfect. Brown versus Board of Education. When you first pass bills and laws, none of it is going to be perfect. So regardless as to whether we had affordable care or not, people, when they went to the emergency room, somebody still had to pay that burden. So now everybody is responsible for their own burden. And I agree with what you're saying. Pastor, let me yield, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go into recording because we're looking at about 8 minutes. I'm going to come back to you, Pastor. Hold your thought. Let me go to, I believe, Dave, and then Nikki. And I don't know if Natalie's out, Belinda's out there, if she want to have a comment. Go ahead, Dave, and then Nikki.
Okay. Go ahead. Go ahead, Nikki.
We must, as a people, and in the pastor, you're a pastor, and I would never really ever deem to tell you what to teach your flock, but the teachings, social justice, the widow, the orphan, the poor, pastor, that's what's being lost here in this whole talk about politics. And yes, some have to sacrifice so that others can have. I have gone through periods without insurance when I've had sick children. And it's horrific. We must try to rebuild families. So yes, some of us have to give. Unfortunately, the way it's being pitted in America is that it's always the middle class that have to give. And they got a resentment while the rich just don't, it's an abomination what's happening. And somewhere we have to get back to this idea of social justice. Yes, there are criminals on the street, but does 1 in 3 black men really looking at his life say, at some point in my life, I am going to be in prison? What does that do to his women folk, his children? Then he comes out. His wife can't get federal assistance. Food stamps have just been cut. It's horrific in a country like this. They cut $800 million in food stamps. If there's fraud, fine and dandy. But 50% of that, those food stamps feed children. And this is the whole idea that has been lost in what we purport to live in a democracy. But if I'm just for me now, I got to pay some more health care. But that means maybe, there's untold thousands who cannot get medical care. In this day and age, it's criminal, Pastor. It's criminal. I don't know how we get there, but we have to stop thinking of self so much and really go back to the wanderer in the Palestinian desert who talked to us about that. Am I my brother's keeper? Yes. The parable of the Good Samaritan. We have to go back there, Pastor.
Yes, ma'am. I agree, ma'am. I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. I mean, I agree with you 100%. It's just the method that I'm coming at is a bit different. I think what Marnie wants to do. In other words, like Hillary says, she don't believe herself or anyone else in 1%, or maybe even the 2 or 3% should have free college. Maybe the people that are poor, those in the middle class. So there's a way that you can set up things to get to where you're going in a more methodical, more practical way that I believe that she's approaching it in Bernie Sanders. This is what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say something that we want to do. It's good to want to do it, but how we get there has to be in a way that's going to be successful for everyone, not just a blanket thing like everybody gets free college. It's not going to work. Everybody get this. It's not going. Everybody gets. It's got to be a way in which we get to where we're going that's practical and fits not only social justice but also the capitalism. Yes, sir. Yes.
We're turning out. If someone is lucky enough, the only way a kid can go to college is if the parents have it or he takes student loans. I have a child. Okay, he's 30 years old. I didn't have it. We got the student loan. He starts his life with this enormous debt. Now, he was lucky he got to go to college. I get that. Okay?
I did too. And my son is too right now.
We got to make a long-term investment in our youth.
Right. I understand. I would probably be one of the ones that might get some help. But if I'm making $1 million a year, I don't need that help. Is what I'm saying.
Okay, Pastor Riggins, Nikki.
Right,
hold on. Let me go to Dave and let him get his in, because we're going to go into a recording in about 4 minutes. Dave Lamont, Screens from the Center. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. Good to hear from everybody, especially you, Pastor Riggins. Good to hear from you again. I just basically want to say that we're going into this election. Be passionate about your candidate. Let your voice be heard. Just make sure you go out there and vote. Make sure you get out there. Make sure you help someone go out there and vote. I'm going to be doing it tomorrow. I'm going to be out there caucusing for Bernie Sanders, because I do think that we can do it. It comes down to two things: no, we can't, or yes, we can. And I'm for the yes, we can candidate, and I think he can win. Thank you very much.
Very eloquently stated, Dave. We're looking at about 3 minutes. What I'm going to do is, because we'll lose some of those that are out there, I believe we'll have about 15 minutes. So let me go in. I believe Nikki's conviction is pretty much like mine. Now let me ask Nick and Vanessa this: how did it make you feel when Gloria Steinman came out and talking about because you are a woman, you basically owe or obligated to support Hillary Clinton? How did that make you, you as an individual, feel as a female? Did you feel betrayed? Did you feel like one of those aha moments? Tell us, in your own way, how that made you feel.
I think I just thought it not too long ago. I mean, it doesn't make me feel one. You can't tell me how to feel about another woman. But I don't feel like I'm obligated to it because she's a female. I'm obligated to the best candidate. It's make her female.
Okay, Nikki.
Real quick, I felt that and I'm a child of the 60s and the 70s, and I felt that this idea of women in the workplace, all of these things were great. But what I think the women's movement did wrong was we sold the women that they men have characteristics particular to them. Women have characteristics particular to them. Ours are in the nurture side, and instead of taking those women characteristics and making them glorious, what we did was we now went into competition with men, and essentially we became them. And that's why I think Hillary is. Long time ago, I used to believe that if there were more women leaders, there'd be less wars because you were fathers, you were sons, you were brothers. We'd be less likely to send men to war because we knew the pain of that. And so my interest in Hillary Clinton stopped when she was running against Obama, and she used one of the grossest. It was playing the race card, and it was as cutthroat as any man I ever saw in politics. She lost me way back.
And Nikki,
and I thought,
I have to agree. That's exactly when I made the position that I would not support her or her husband at any point in time, and I haven't. And like I said, I hope that something can change me, because I share the same philosophy as Pastor Riggins and Dave Lamont from Screens from the Center. I do not want anybody from the Republican Party, the GOP, because they are in disarray. And if you think Trump is crazy now, this guy is going to be AWOL, because he has the power. He can do what he want to do. And if you couldn't control him then, you're definitely not going to control him now. So I believe that we have to make sure that they teach you in college, either vote your conscience, your constituents, or both. And I'm not sure how I'm going to be able to overcome this, but I want to make sure that everybody that's out there have the opportunity to speak. So I'm going to ask you guys to yield. Do we have any other caller that's out there who would like to engage in the conversation tonight? You may do so at this time. I'll pause briefly. Judging by ways and action, there are none. Pastor Riggins, what is it that you feel the Democratic Party itself, regardless as to whether you are a far progressive or you are a left or center progressive or you're dead in the center, what do you feel that people need to do as we get ready for Super Tuesday coming up in the next couple of days? What do you feel we need to do?
We got to get charged up, man. That's what I like Bernie Sanders for, because he gets the crowd out there, and he's pushing Hillary Clinton. He made up again to say we and not I. He made up again to talk about breaking down barriers. Even though he was mostly focusing on poverty and economy, she spread it out to all the other areas. She had to go back and mend those bridges with Jim Clyburn and all those people in South Carolina and all those people that she offended. And this is what I like. I believe in forgiveness. See, I understand that. See, the whole thing about the gospel is Paul killed the church and he became the leader of the church. That's why I can't live on what somebody have done in the past. I got to look and see what they're doing now. We see what Trump is doing now. We see what he done now. He did yesterday. In the past, he said, I don't want to do nothing with David Duke. But then yesterday, he said, I might need to run with David Duke. Hillary in the past jumped on Barack Obama, jumped on all African Americans trying to win, and it backfired on her. Barack Obama forgave them as Secretary of State, and over the time, she's now come back and said, listen, I know what I did was wrong.
But is she contrite in her apology, Pastor? Is she contrite, or is she doing it just because?
I believe she's contrite.
Okay.
You look at
that's fair.
What her husband has done around the world, in Africa and all these places, in the global initiative. You look at how she is working with the issues of Barack Obama, because Paul killed the church and then became leader of the church. So I have to go on the side of forgiveness and show me what you're doing today, because we've all seen and fell short of the glory of God.
Romans 3:23.
But at the same time, that's the same concept. We all miss the mark at some point. So what do we do about that? Do we wallow in? Do we hold it against? And there's no deal about Lazarus. When Lazarus came out the tomb, Jesus turned around and said, loose him and let him go. You know what? They bound him up because he was dead. He said, now you bound him up, now you loose him. I bound Hillary Clinton up in 2008. I became an independent because of what was going on. It's resident independent. But now I got to turn around and say, wait a minute. When it's time for the election, if Bernie doesn't win it, I've got to loose it and let Hillary Clinton do what she's supposed to do. That's my approach to it.
Okay, Pastor, we got Jody Moncrief out there saying Trump 2016. I know the other day he was saying Ted Cruz, so I'm not sure if he's flip-flopping or what. Pastor Riggin, let me ask you this. My only issue is that if your past is your past, that's okay. But if your past is a part of your present, then it's still a problem. Hillary Clinton's past is still a part of a problem, and hopefully you and I, in our own independent private conversations, you can you can give me some tutelage in that particular manner, because I see her as still being the same flawed, corrupt candidate that she was back then. She's become even worse. Here's the deal. She won't even give out information pertaining to her speeches, which I don't care if she made $1 million a speech. I think if she's capable of making $1 million, hey, I support her on that. But I think to get rid of the suspicion around her, go ahead on. It's not the amount of money that I'm concerned with, Pastor. It's what she said in the speeches. I want to know, what did she say and how did she pander to those individuals? How do you feel about that, Pastor?
I believe that the position she's taking is, if I got to release my speeches, every other candidate out here has got to release their speeches. Because she did not make speeches running as a candidate. She made the speeches before she was a candidate. It's in other words, if you
okay, so Pastor,
Pastor Glass, come over here and speak to my group. You're not running for anything. I pay you money to speak. And then later on you say, look, I want to run. And then we turn around and say, look here, we don't know what Barron said to your group. You're not obligated to. Everybody else that spoke to the group is supposed to release those speeches.
So Riggins, if David Duke has made a speech in the past about anti-Semitism or whatever the case may be, you don't think we should know about that?
But David Duke is involved. See, we
No, and you're exactly right. And I see Hillary as being a vile candidate.
No. What I'm trying to say is he's a vile KKK. We know that's what he says he is. He's part of hatred, racism. This stuff about Wall Street, let me explain something to us. And maybe everybody don't believe this. Man, we not never do nothing's wrong. Wall Street is not evil. Wall Street needs to be fixed. Let me explain this to us. 1929, Great Depression. Wall Street caused it. Do we still have Wall Street? Yes. 2016. It's never going away. The black market fell during Clinton time. I remember that Black Monday, whatever, Black Friday. We still, Great Recession 2008. We still got what? Wall Street. It's just we got to figure out how to fix it. You know why? Because it's tied to the European Union. It's tied to China. It's tied to world markets. And that's so you got to learn how to.
So Riggins,
it's not something evil.
So Riggins,
it would be evil.
Hey, Pastor, did I hear you say that Wall Street is not evil? They just need to be fixed.
Yes, sir. You have to have investment, man. That's what he's
Come on, Pastor.
In other words, let me what phone do you own? What phone do you own?
Your cell phone?
Oh.
Cell phone?
Yes, sir.
I own a Galaxy, Android.
Samsung, right?
Right.
Samsung. They're traded on Wall Street.
Right, I understand that.
Takes public right. It's the concept of people investing into a company so that Samsung, so that next year you can get a better one, and the next year you get a better one. It's the hedge fund. It's the people that run it. It's the way it's been set up that sometimes need to be fixed. But Wall Street can't be done away with. We can't throw out the baby with the bathwater is what I'm saying. That's what we are. Oh, Wall Street. Wait a minute. It's folks that's going to make money off Wall Street that we got to deal with, and we have to go in there and figure out how to fix it. But just saying shut down. So sometimes we be thinking about, man, that's evil. That's not, Wall Street not evil. In other words, I used to have money in what you call mutual funds before I moved over to where I'm at now. I live in another city. And man, let me tell you what, mutual funds make me 11% interest every month. Money I put in that thing, man, was making, as long as I don't touch it, for the next 20, 30 years, that's what you can retire. Not to worry about buying that, worrying about if you're going to live mouth to mouth from day to day. It's the way we use the instrument, Wall Street. It's the way folks use it. And so sometimes because people look at the people getting rich over about it and say, oh, Wall Street is bad. It's not. It's just got to be fixed. So when she goes to speak to Wall Street, we don't know what she said to them. She probably going to hold them. Just like Barack Obama, he took money from Wall Street and guess what he did? For his campaign and turn around and held them accountable. You could take money from people and hold them accountable. Because you can say, you can't come here and cheat us, but we know we need this part of our economy with capitalism. We're not a socialism, we're capitalism. So we need that part of our economy. It's just making them accountable. That's my point on that. And
respected Pastor. We love a good exchange. Dave Lamont, Vanessa, Nikki, are you out there? You still wanna? Because we got about 21 minutes left, so we extended the show for additional 30 minutes. So Vanessa, you out there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Do you feel that Wall Street is corrupt, or you feel that it needs fixing?
I'm sorry, but Wall Street is the corruptest of any entity on the planet. That's how I feel about Wall Street. Because my brother was in the government, so I know what Wall Street is all about. So pretty much, I'm not going to say, I know everybody that's there, but no, I can't. It does need fixing. That's true. But it needs a whole lot of other stuff, too.
And I know exactly what Pastor Riggins is saying, and what he's saying is exactly what we're agreeing to. It's just coming out in different form. And I want to make sure that anybody that's out there listening, Pastor is correct in what he's saying. If something is corrupt, it needs to be fixed. I think he's shying away from the term of corrupt and agreeing that it needs to be fixed, and that's respected. Nikki, are you out there? Did we drop you? Dave Lamont.
Yes, sir.
Wall Street corrupt or need fixing?
Well, and I choose both. I think it is a corrupt organization. Businesses in general are corrupt, amoral organizations, and that's why we have something like government and the power of government to keep them in check, to base them on the morality that we choose as a society to have. So, yes, Wall Street is corrupt.
And again, and respectfully, I know why Pastor Riggins is basically not using the word corrupt. And again, that's what I like about it. I respect the fact of being too stern when you can use another word or another terminology for that. And again, that's why Pastor Riggins is not religious. He's a man of God, and I really value and respect. And I really do participate in his particular shows. And I want everybody else.
Hey, Barron.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Barron. To make there are corrupt people on Wall Street. I'll use that term. There are corrupt people on Wall Street, but Wall Street, the instrument, is not corrupt.
Okay.
You can there are corrupt people in the church, but I can't throw away the church. You see what I'm saying?
But I think
it used to be in Chicago. In Chicago, it used to be trading in Chicago a long time ago. You know what I'm talking about? A long time ago, trading used to have a lot of trading, and then eventually moved. The biggest thing became what's going on in New York for Wall Street. You have to trade oil, you have to trade corn, you have to trade all these different commodities have to be traded on Wall Street. But the banks and actors, a lot of banks and actors on Wall Street are corrupt. But we can't say shut down Wall Street is what I'm trying to say. Because I'm trying to make myself clear. I'm not disagreeing that there's not corruption is not there. But a lot of times we're saying, hey, we hear people saying, why are you going to deal with Wall Street? We have to deal with Wall Street. We just got to make them become honest in our dealing. That's what I'm saying. Okay,
screens from the center. We got out here on the live chat, we got Mr. Jody Moncrief saying that climate change is a hoax. He's also saying that the Dems are corrupt. And he's also saying that Ted Cruz cannot win, so now he's moving from Mr. Ted Cruz to Donald Trump. Screens from the center. Would you like to address that?
Yes, again, I've discussed this with him many times. We have decades of evidence, thousands and thousands of scientific papers in support of climate change. We have over 450,000 scientists living today, most of which say that human-caused climate change is actually a real thing. So, quite frankly, climate denial is something that is a relic of the past. We have an internet. We have the capability of looking up these papers and making a competent decision. And quite frankly, there's no grounds to stand for to deny climate change at this point.
So, do you feel, screen from the center, that Republicans, the GOP, the party itself, they are in denial when it comes to all the data that you just mentioned?
Yes, they are. And in fact, they are one of the only parties in the entire world that, as a party, does not believe that climate change is happening. And I'm not a big fan of using the word belief, because at this point it is believed to say climate change is not happening. It is a fact to say that it is. So the Republican Party is deluded.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Finish up, David, and I'll let Pastor Riggins come in.
No, he's all set. Go for it, Pastor Riggins.
Go ahead, Pastor.
I'm gonna go. They are not in denial. They are lying and hypocrites. They know climate change happening.
Okay.
It's about the carbon. It's about oil. It's about oil. It's about believing that somebody's gonna make them stop fishing and hunting. It's just crazy stuff. Like, when you say climate change, and they're gonna say we can't be killing the animals, we can't be doing this. And I want to have my gun and go shoot something. Sheriff Baylor shooting up all them AR-15s out there, bears and wolves and all that. And then also the oil, because you're trying to stop them from making money from the carbon, what's the word I'm looking for? Fossil fuels and all that stuff. So they use that and then try to say that supposedly if God is coming back and the world belongs to God, then how can science say there's climate change? Science defines God. The Bible already told you there's going to be climate change. He said the seasons going to be changed. We're going to be able to tell one from another. He said that. And he also said that there'll be signs and wonders we would not be able to understand. And he would have to shorten the time that no flesh be saved. So what they're using to try to act like there is no climate change, they're misinterpreting the Bible or disingenuously being a hypocrite. They know there's climate change. It's all about, no, sir. Yes, sir. It's all about trying to do what they want to do and then say, Oh no, the science is wrong. No, science defines what's already happening.
So Pastor, you
that's the preacher saying that. I'm a preacher. I could right because they try to run to the religious right and try to use that to say that's why no climate change.
Hey, Pastor Riggins.
Have faith in what God is doing. No.
Hey, Pastor Riggins, the respondent out there on the live chat, and I'm finding it to be humorous, but he's saying that they are paid to say that by Obama, I guess.
That's all right. Nobody ever paid me, brother. I wish they would pay me. Paid me, but I do know on Christmas Day I was wearing short sleeves. Yes, sir. Then I saw 2 weeks after that, people had 30 inches of snow. That's because why? Because of climate change, it's going from one extreme to another. You can't tell one season from another. You can have 30 inches of snow in 1 week, have 90 in the same location.
Okay, Pastor.
Hey, Aaron.
Yeah, go ahead. I'll screen from the center.
Quick thing to start.
Yeah, go ahead.
Basically, we need to look at the GOP as a whole as three things. There, you have the billionaire class on top who's barking the orders. They're the ones saying that climate change is a hoax. They have their paid shills, and these are the politicians, these are the right-wing bloggers and news sites that tell the people what to think. And then there's people like my friend there, Jody, who is a shill or a dupe manipulated by this class system in the Republican Party to believe all of these topics, including, climate change is a hoax.
Okay, I'm trying to make sure that let me see. Jody says coal keeps the light on. What we're going to do right now, Pastor Riggins, I'm going to start with you. Then I'll go to Vanessa, and then I'll let Dave give the closing statements. Go ahead, Pastor Riggins.
Thank you, Barry, for letting me be on tonight. Often when I get to text, I'm busy doing a lot of things, and that you all, and I said, let me get on with Barry, because you and I had a healthy discussion the other night.
Right. And
oftentimes when I'm discussion on Facebook, and then oftentimes when we're doing our show on Sunday nights.
Right.
I know you're either listening or you're listening to the archive.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I still support you, Pastor, 100%.
Yes, sir. I thought I might come in and lend a voice tonight.
I'm glad you did.
I'm voting for whatever Democrat is going to win. It's just that in my heart of heart right now, I'm just nervous about whether Mr. Sanders has the goods to be able to deliver for us in the primary what we need to see. But if he can beat Hillary Clinton, if he can, then that tells me he can deliver against Donald Trump. Donald Trump cannot tear any one of our candidates apart because Donald Trump is not flawed. Donald Trump is con artist, his opportunities. Matter of fact, if Hillary Clinton was not running for President of the United States, he'd be running as a Democrat. That's what you don't understand. He'll be running Democrat. He called Bill Clinton the night before. And if you look at the commercial they run about all the time in the city, he associated with Democrats. He believes Hillary Clinton is doing a good job. He did this, that, and the other. He would have been running as a Democrat if she was not running. He's an opportunist. He's not a Republican. He's not a Democrat. He is a talk show, what's the name of it? What's the name I'm looking for? With reality show opportunities, and he wants one more title to his name. Trump titles all over the world, and he wants to say Trump, President of the United States. I'm telling you.
You have heard it straight from A.F. Riggins. Pastor, before you end your comment, tell us about your show. Tell us what you got going on. I know you're coming on Wednesday night on your own, but tell us about your Wednesday night show and your Sunday night show.
Yes, sir. Wednesday night shows on Blog Talk USA, in which we preach the Word of God. There's no politics going on in that because I don't believe in mixing religion and politics. But we preach the Word of God on Wednesday nights, straight on the Word. We've been talking about catching the vision, moving in excellency to fulfill our purpose on Wednesday nights. And that's at 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Blog Talk USA, 347-855-8118. And then on Sunday nights, a show just like this happens. 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, the same location, in which we talk about everything. Like last night, we did the Black history, the Black Panthers, and the Black vote. And so these are the kind of things we deal with. We deal with politics, community issues, and trying to make Sunday morning reach Monday morning. Thank you, Baron, for having me on. Baron has created those shows. We always give him credit for that.
Oh, no, sir, Pastor. We know how we do it. Thank you for coming on. Vanessa.
Yes, sir.
Give us your closing comment.
Well, I think this particular election is going to be somewhat different than all the ones before it, even before Barack Obama, because now we're seeing a female is involved in a reality show host, a clown, and some of these other ones that are there. I mean, you know, the brain surgeons, and they've had quite a, you know, long list of different people that were running this time, but it just seems like it's so much different than the last, you know, elections that were coming up, and the candidates just don't seem to be, I don't know. On the Democrat side, I'm okay with Hillary and Bernie, but on that other side, I just can't see it. I don't understand it.
I'm like you,
and
Vanessa.
I don't understand how these people are voting for Donald Trump, because on the news they made a comment, and I'm not saying anything about anybody online. If you vote for Trump, then, you know, that's fine. But they actually said that a lot of Trump supporters are very uneducated. And I think they did. They said that on the world news. So I'm like, okay, I don't think I want to be in that group, you know, to say that I'm going to vote for Trump, especially if this is how they feel that his supporters are.
Mm-hmm.
But they feel like, you know, they're listening to what he's saying because, you know, they always say it's something different. When he's saying something different, he's not politically correct, and we sick of the same stuff. But remember I told you, Baron, in another post that I put in there, I said, well, that's no excuse for you to allow your IQ to plummet.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
You need to beef up on your education and beef up on the government and how it's ran, and, you know, just start picking more qualified people. You just don't pick somebody because they're using bad words on they're cursing on the mic, and they're talking about people and calling people names, and, you know, it's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. But I'm just curious how all this is gonna come out.
Okay. Screens from the center.
Yeah, thank you again for letting me come on. It's always a pleasure. I just want to tell people that I want to plug a YouTube video that I saw that gave a great analysis of the way Trump is running his campaign. The name of the channel is called The Film Theorist, and he basically puts forth the thesis that Donald Trump is running his political campaign like the TV show Survivor, the TV show Apprentice, like a reality TV show. He is doing all of the things that characters that we remember consistently do in those kinds of shows. And we have to look at how he's doing that so that we can create an effective counter and let people know about that, including people representing the campaigns that we support.
Mm-hmm. Well,
that's my closing statement there. I can go ahead and plug my show if you'd like.
Go. Make sure you put it up, Dave. And I want to ask that anybody that's out there listening right now, whether you're on the line listening on the net, or if you're going back and listening to the archive, Dave is going to put that information up. I want to say thanks to everybody who tuned in. Nikki, I know she dropped. Pastor Riggins, as always, Vanessa, as always, and Scream from the center, and anybody else that's out there listening, all those listeners who check us out each and every broadcast. You're looking at about 9:24 p.m. Central Standard Time. You're listening to the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass. On tonight, we talked about why Hillary, why Bernie, but no to the GOP. Have a great night, everybody.